Facebook, as a general rule, there are only people there that are my friend that I actually know, right? People I'm in
Mhm.
school with, people I work with, family, whatever. But I do make a minor exception to fans, which is kind of weird for me to say, but I do in fact have fans. So sometimes I have added a couple of those, um, but it also makes me think when I'm oh sound check came up. It makes me think about what I post a little more carefully because
Right.
even though it's generally family, but not always.
Right. You're not 100% sure who's going to see what or whose privacy setting is set where.
Yeah, I do have a. I'm not going to mention who because we are in fact on the
Yeah,
YouTubes.
I see we're live. So,
Yes, but I do have a custom filter that blocks out a couple of people, so it's like everybody but this subset over here.
so you have a group just for the people you don't want to see or
Right.
hear or
Well,
send to.
yeah. Well, you can do the custom filters or the
Mhm.
custom audience, and so there's everyone, and then there's friends, and then but then there's not. So it's a nice Boolean function there. So I can say post to my friends except this person here
Yep.
and this person here and maybe
Mhm.
maybe not that person there.
Or I just have groups that I have a
Yeah.
group that says what is it called? Restricted?
Yes. Yes. That never see anything. But
Yep.
see, I want these people to see to not know that they're being restricted. See, so
I don't think there's a way to see that,
yeah. Well,
but I don't post much to start with. So for
exactly.
me, it's an easy one.
Yeah, I've told this story I think maybe on the show before. My mom was staying with me, and I was hackety away on the computer, and she
Sure.
kept looking at her phone, and I was and she kept finally she said, "How come I'm not seeing your posts?" I'm sorry, what? Well, I'm not seeing any of your posts. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm looking at Facebook right now, and I'm not seeing anything you've posted. And I went to Facebook and said the last thing I posted was like 7 weeks ago. Well, what are you doing over there on the computer?
Uh,
Believe it or not, there's more things you can do on a computer than Facebook.
that's right.
But in her world, Facebook is the internet.
Right.
So it was kind of a funny experience because I don't even remember what I was doing, but I pretty much have my laptop nearby all the time, and she couldn't
Hmm.
understand that she wasn't seeing anything on Facebook.
Right. Because you were typing up a storm.
Yeah.
That
All
short's
right.
back in my USB feed again. Something to do with the tabletop.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So low pitched hum. Could you stick a mouse
Nothing's
pad under it?
changed. Yeah, actually, I have to use a bubble wrap envelope.
It's a vibration. Something then.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that I've never, I've from last week, nothing's changed in here other than we put more stuff on the tabletop.
Air conditioner or heater maybe?
Uh-uh.
Sump pump? Is it raining?
Nope.
Hmm. I don't
It
know.
just it's weird. I don't understand it.
All right. Well, let's start recording and do a show, shall we?
Sure, I'm already recording, so we're good to go.
All right. Hello, everyone. Let me at least put the camera on me for a moment.
Yeah, we kind of want to have the cameraman do the right things there, right?
Yeah. I mean, I try to show the person talking whenever possible. All right. Here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Everyday Linux episode 192. Things you might not know. Recorded May 10th, 2015, and brought to you by Element OP Productions. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Linux show that's not about Linux, but about life in the context of Linux. I am your host, Mark, the Sultan of the Soapbox Cockerel, and joining me this week is your friend and mine, Chris, the command line Godfather Neves. I got his name right this time. Welcome, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing great on this Sunday afternoon, and I hope everyone had a great Mother's Day. And to all those mothers out there, thanks for everything you've done, did, and will do in the future.
Yes, here in the U.S., Sunday, May 10th, 2015 is Mother's Day. This will be coming out on Wednesday. So, and then people in other parts of the world have already had their Mother's Day. But moms, it's a thankless job. So at least one day a week or one day a year, we make you not do dishes. So thanks, moms, for all the stuff you do. And that's all I have to say about that. So Seth is still in Hawaii, maybe on his way back from Hawaii by this point. I honestly don't know. But he's been posting some beautiful pictures on Facebook. Makes me really jealous of the fact that he's spent 2 weeks there. He's certainly eaten well, from what I can tell. But he'll be back with us next week to tell us all about it. And we miss him. We miss him when he's not there.
Yeah, it's nice to take a time off, but man, the ones that are stuck back here behind the cameras, we miss that guy when he's gone.
So because he's not here, and he does like 40% of the show work with the new stuff, we're we're taking a cheat, and we thought it would be interesting just to do random trivia stuff. Has nothing to do with anything, just stuff. It was just an excuse that I'm just putting that out there right up front to do a show that doesn't require a great deal of prep. But hopefully some of these things can do some generate some discussion. And one of the things I've been thinking about doing in the future, and I want to see what the audience is I'm thinking I want to set up an email address, or well, it doesn't have to be a special address. You can send it to Chris and Seth for a Stump the Sultan show, where you would send questions in, and the objective is not necessarily for me to have the right answer, but for me to be able to give an answer that sounds like it might be right at the time. So it's sort of a game show where I'll either give the right answer to your question if I know it, or I'll make up so much BS that it sounds like I know the answer.
That sounds like a large. I can't even think about what to even call that. It just sounds like it should be fun.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Calling a Stump the Sultan episode. And so you would email your questions to Chris and Seth. They would read them to me, and then I would pose an answer, and they would decide whether or not the answer satisfied them, whether they knew the answer or not. Right? If you said, in what year was the Battle of Hastings, and I said 1066, they would say, okay, that's right. If you said, what's the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow, and I made up something, if I could make up something that sounds plausible to them, we'll call that a win. And at the end of the show, we'll keep score and see how well I did. I thought it might be fun.
It should be fun. And then we could come back and revisit with all the correct answers if the people that posed them, sent back in. I could see that being fun. So just remember, don't send him to Mark or the EDL email address, because then he'll be able to pre-search.
Right.
These are supposed to be off the cuff.
Exactly. I want to test my balderdash skills. Am I good enough to just fake my way through an entire episode of questions? I will not allow myself to say I don't know. The rules of the contest will be I must give an answer.
There you go.
I think it'll be fun.
I can definitely see how that would be a great time. We'll have to definitely bring some pizza and beer and sit back and enjoy the show.
Make it a drinking game. Every time I say,
Man, I think people they might end up not making it all the way through the show.
So that's just something I've been thinking about. Let me know what you think. Again, don't send your questions to me, but if you think it's a good idea, let me know. If you think it's just going to be a waste of time, let me know too. Although, frankly, I'm not opposed to wasting your time.
Maybe we can do, if it's a question for the Stump the Sultan, maybe in the subject put stump or SS or something, so we know it's the question for that show and not for general listener feedback questions.
I'll even go one farther. I'm just making this up as I go. For every question that I can't give a reasonable answer to, I will donate $1 to the EFF.
Oh, there you go.
So that will motivate people to send in difficult, off the wall questions.
Stuff. Yes.
But if I can give an answer that sounds plausible, whether it's correct or not, if both Chris and Seth agree that it sounds plausible, then they'll give $1 to the EFF. How about that?
Well, we'll have to wait for Seth to get back to verify that one, but I don't see a problem with it. It's only $1.
Right. So I mean, at the end of the show, at the most, you'd be shucking out $20, right? But it could be an interesting way to a little fundraiser and fundraiser.
There you go.
See what I did there? Both a fundraiser and a fundraiser.
Ooh.
Speaking of fun, I told Chris last week after we'd stopped recording that I would not speak to him again if he hadn't watched the first episode of Daredevil. So in order to actually do a show tonight, he had to do that. So what do you think about it, Chris?
Well, I binge watched 3 episodes, back to back today, just so I made sure I would be making my his plea, satisfied. Um, I was It was very interesting on how they played the Daredevil character off. Because he hasn't donned the suit yet,
Right.
the crimson suit. He's still just the black mask guy. So it's interesting to see how much they're feeding the backstory into the episodes, the very first 3. I think the end of the 3rd episode is when they actually introduce the character, the Kingpin. So,
but he's not called Kingpin yet. Actually,
not yet.
through all 13 episodes, he's never called Kingpin. So
Right,
it's
yeah.
the backstory of Wilson Fisk and the backstory of Matt Murdock. Neither
Yep.
of them are yet Kingpin and Daredevil, and I love that.
Right, which is why I'm so interested. It's kind of got me hooked because I'm waiting to see some of the trademark things that that both those characters do, and I really haven't seen any of the trademark yet, but I could see why some of the trademarks are there now. So I'm hooked. Damn you!
See, what I tell everybody is the first episode is interesting, but you may decide at the end of the first it's not good enough. Watch the second one. The second one is the big hook.
Yep, that's when the hook definitely came. Well, it didn't fully hook until the end of the 3rd, when I'm like, wait a minute, and I started going, no, wait, huh? And it was that whole moment of, now where are they going to go? What's next?
My wife and I finished it last one night last week. I don't remember what it was, but we watched the last 2 episodes, and when it was over, it was both satisfying in that the story arc completed nicely, and appetite whetting in that I can't wait to see where they go next. So now, as I said, we've been kind of pacing these things out, watching no more than 2 episodes a week because we didn't want to go away too quickly.
Right.
And I think one week we did watch 3 episodes. But we didn't, we told ourselves we didn't want this to be over too quickly. If I use my right, over too quickly. And it's over too quickly. And so now we've got to wait a whole year for the next one. So I've been proselytizing, telling people to watch Daredevil, but at the same time, the longer they procrastinate to watch it, the less time they'll have to wait for the second season.
Yeah.
But it wraps up in such a way that if there was never a second season, you're not left unsatisfied.
Well, that's good. That's good to know. But yeah, the whole binge watching or binge reading into a series to find out that now you have to wait months or years is just agonizing. I've done that now with 3 of my Audible books,
right,
in the series, because I didn't realize there were series until I started reading in. Now I'm jonesing for the actual finish to this. It's like, no.
Right. I blew through like 10 Jack Campbell books, the Beyond the Frontier and the Lost Fleet. I read the whole Lost Fleet and the first 4 books of Beyond the Frontier, because I'm so late getting into these things have been around for a while, and I got to book 4 of Beyond the Frontier and was like, what? There's not anymore? What? What? So the 5th book just came out, and I tore it up in a couple of days, and I'm pretty sure that's the end of it. He left it open where there could be more, but also he killed off enough main characters and resolved enough storylines that he could end it there quite comfortably as well. So I don't feel like I'm waiting for the next one, but yeah, it is frustrating. That's why I try to that's probably not even the right way to say it. I have in the past only picked up old series because I knew I could get through all of them.
Right.
But, I didn't realize that this was a new series. I thought I was confident in the oldness of it. But some of the new ones, that I've picked up as well, it's frustrating to have to wait a year or 2 for the next storyline to be written.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely one of those things where I've ran into too many of those books that are mid-series, and I'm like, ow. Right. I wanted to know what's going to happen.
And Audible will do that, right? They'll have a deal of the day, 99 cents for book 4 of the series.
Yep.
And that's such a dirty trick, Audible.
It's mean.
Because if you like
absolutely
that
mean.
one, you have to go back and read the other two, the other three that led up to it, and then all the others. And so it's like, for 99 cents, we'll hook you, and then it's $30 a book then on, or whatever.
Yep. Or you have to wait for your credits to show up, and then you're chewing in your fingernails until the credits all show.
My credits come on the 18th of the month, and so sometimes on the 17th, I'm like, come on, guys, I'm running out of stuff to read here.
Well, and it's late on your day,
right?
At least mine are. Mine show up like in the evening,
right? Like 6 or 7 p.m.
Yeah. So then I'm late going to bed because I'm trying to find the next books to set up for my download, and I'm chewing my fingernails off. Yeah.
But there's enough.
I don't have very many fingers left.
For me, anyway, there's been enough daily deals for $1 or $2 to fill in the gaps. So I've only a couple of times just not had a book to read. Audible.com, elementop.com/audible. You can get a free 1-month trial, and we get a few bucks. So do it. It's if you're a podcast listener, and I'm assuming you are, since you're listening to this podcast, Audible is right up your alley.
Yep.
And the way
Especially
I do
if you have, I was going to say it's perfect if you have long commutes or long commutes or times at the gym where you're not doing anything.
Washing dishes, brushing teeth, whatever. Anytime that your mind would be idle, you can have a book right there. And I didn't realize the power of that until I got into it. My routine is books in the car and podcasts at the desk.
Oh, there you go.
So when I'm sitting at my desk and I can half listen to something where, I'm not having to keep up with 6 hours of story and character names and all that sort of stuff, I pop a podcast in. But when I'm in the car and I have the opportunity to focus on something, that's a book. So I commute roughly 10 hours every week, and most books tend to be between 8 and 12 hours. So I can finish a book in a week for the most part. And it works out really well for me.
Yeah, I actually was laughing. We did a little barbecue here at the house last night for mothers. All my friends that are mothers, and there's 3 of us in the friend group that are huge Audible people, and we're like, so how many books do you have now in your library? Just poking, and because there's a couple of guys that have been doing this longer than me, and they're like, oh, I got 30 some books in my library, and I went, yeah, I got all that plus 10 in my library. And I've only been doing it for 5 months now. So
it's
funny.
I'm probably close to 60. I haven't counted recently, but I'm not at my 2-year anniversary yet, and I'm at 60 books because it's so enthralling.
Yep, and addicting.
Yes,
definitely. It is now my second new addiction.
And many of their books whisper sync up. So if you've got a Kindle, you can read where you last listened, and you can listen where you last read. As I've said many times on the show, I'm not a reader, but I am a consumer of stories. So Audible really, it restored that part of my life that was missing.
Yeah, it's great. Be a storyteller. Listen to audiobooks.
And that was not intended to be an ad. It's just an organic discussion of something that we both love. One of the questions I used to get asked all the time is, what are you reading right now? Because a lot of my friends are, they're cerebral people. They're readers.
Yep.
And every time we'd have a discussion, what are you reading right now? I'm not reading anything. I mean, I read blogs, I read articles, I read stories online, but I'm not reading any books. Now I can jump right in and say, well, let me tell you what I'm reading or what I just read. So I'm no longer a second-class citizen.
There you go. Because second-class citizen is not much fun.
I'm the kind of guy who I just will pick a topic, or not even pick. A lot of people will use like Tumblr or Stumble Upon or whatever and just do random blogs. I do that, but with like research studies. I know it makes me a geek. I understand that. I own that. But like just this last week, while I was, the TV was on, I wasn't watching TV. My wife was. And I had my laptop, and I was reading an article about the mystery, the 50-year-old mystery of the measles vaccine. What we've known to be true, but we're not sure why, is that when people get when the measles vaccine is available in a population all other mortalities drop by as much as 80% from everything else, from mumps, from influenza, from pneumonia. When we knock out measles, the death rate from other diseases plummets somewhere between 70 and 80%. And every time the measles vaccine has been implemented, that's been true. And we knew what, we just didn't know why. And a new recent study theorizes, it's still early on in the science, that the measles vaccine, that the measles virus actually diminishes or almost resets the body's immune system. So, when you're 4 and you get a cold, you'll never get that particular cold again. But if you get measles, it like you wipes out your antibodies, and your body starts over again and doesn't remember the things it's fought before. So you can get the same cold again. So people are, that's the theory. People were dying from things that they had once been immune to, because measles wiped that out. And we had known that it could suppress the immune system for up to a couple of years, but now new research is showing it doesn't just suppress it, it resets it. So anyway, that's just one of the interesting things I read this week that wasn't a book.
Yeah, that is interesting. It makes sense when in theory,
right?
Once it is in paper, it'll be a different story, because that also could then you could look at it as, if measles has that power to reset the immune system, if you could harness that, could you reset people that are immunized, the compromised, the ones that have autoimmune disease,
right? Or would it give us a better understanding of immunosuppressants, right? If you had a kidney. Yep. And you're always on immunosuppressants, could we just infect you with the measles instead? Interesting.
Reset your clock. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting thought process there.
But this, there was, I think it was Emory University, which is what caught my attention because it's here in Atlanta. It was a study at Emory University where they just looked at historical records, right? So they could track when the measles vaccine was introduced in various populations, going all the way back to the 50s. And U.S. first, then Europe, then Africa, and they could track this thing. It just happened every time people started getting inoculated for the measles. Everything else went away as well, and then they started trying to figure out why. By the way, no vaccines cause autism. Just take the freaking shot, people.
Yes,
that is not based on science. It's based on fear. And there's never been any study that not only proved it, but even showed a strong link between vaccines and anything else. So just stop being stupid.
Yeah, just do it. Your kids will thank you in 10 years when they're not dying because of it.
And you're, again, there is this whole concept of herd immunity. If I inoculate my kids, but you don't inoculate yours, you are making my kids more prone to get other diseases. So there's, because the disease has a chance to incubate and spread where it might not. So if the herd is immune to, say, measles, then even the immunocompromised, even the old and the young who could get the measles won't, because the measles can't germinate inside anybody.
Right.
So when you take your group off and let them get infected with chicken pox and mumps and all this other stuff that we can fix, the flu, you create your own human set of petri dishes. Stop it. Take the dang shot. It won't give you autism.
We'll all be happier for it.
Well, we're just really going far afield, but that's okay. That's what this show is about. This is almost a trivia thing in itself. I have a family member who is rabidly anti-vaccination. And this family member, I'll say it's a she, she routinely posts facts, quote unquote facts, about a thing. So I decided to do the research one day, and I crafted a really long Facebook post. It was almost a blog, really. And I took the CDC numbers about death by flu and the CDC numbers about death by flu vaccine. And then I took the most whacked out group of people I could find, and I used their numbers of flu vaccine kills 80% of everybody who's ever done. I took the most non-conservative numbers I could find on both sides, the ones who really did their case. And I did the math. I actually said, this percentile, this versus age. And I came out with, even using the whack jobs numbers, there's like a 900% higher chance of dying from the flu than from the flu vaccine. So even if you believe the whack jobs, take the freaking shot.
See,